today, Captain Anderton spoke to Captain Wampler.
Oh, yeah, Brian Wampler.
And Captain Brian Wampler
decided
some Wamplers.
Yes, it's a brand of pedals that, fun enough, you guys on YouTube, I think, about a year ago said, you know, you really should check out some Wampler pedals. So I did. And
I believe it was Dr. Carnivore from my forum was trying the triple wreck.
I think you might be right there.
Yes.
We carry every single Wampler pedal in the range, but there's too many to well, not too many to do in one video anyway.
Yeah.
I think I'll just keep bringing some every time I see Chappers, and we'll do different ones.
This is kind of an overview of some of the best overdrives and distortions that they do. This is going to be a very easy review for us, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of there's about, I don't know, probably 10 different drive pedals in the Wampler range.
We're using a stock Chapman Guitars ML1, regular pickups, into a Mesa Boogie combo.
Yeah, the combo's only ever going to be on a clean sound with a pretty flat EQ on it, so we're really using the pedals for everything here.
And before this demo, Captain and I sat down and sort of tweaked the pedals and got sounds that we liked, that we would use with them. So we've done the work for you.
Yeah.
For example, we're going to be using single coils with the Black 65.
And actually, one of the coolest things on the Black 65. So we'll start with that Black 65. There's a switch on it that allows you to basically operate it in normal mode or gain boost mode. And the way I've set sort of normal mode is just to turn your amp into a Fender sounding amplifier.
That's really good, isn't it?
And it works really well. And then the gain boost, you've got to be careful how much gain you dial in here, because I think it can go into almost kind of like unpleasantly driven Fender tones. But we've set it so that you've got a almost kind of like we're going to make this Mesa Boogie sound more Fendery in the regular mode, and then we're just going to push it so you can see what it's like slightly clipped. This is the Boogie clean tone. Which is a great clean tone, but if we pop the Black 65 in,
it's got a warm, soft purr around the edges of whatever you're giving it.
All that bass end that, you know, nobody really brings in quite like Fender does. It comes from the pedal. It sounds great. So. So if you've got an amplifier where the clean sound doesn't give you that lush Fender clean tone, you should check out a Black 65. Now what we're going to do though is push it into its gain boost mode, which you can't do from a foot switch. You've got a little toggle switch on there, but here you go.
So here's without. With.
Pretty much exactly what you'd get if you had an old Fender tube amplifier just pushed.
So this is the Brent Mason overdrive distortion. Brent, of course, being an amazing country player.
Yeah, he's a big session player on the Nashville scene. I guess over in the UK, we're probably not as familiar with some of the big country stars that they are in the US, but he's a massive name. And his pedal is broken into two sides. So the channel 1 side and a channel 2 side. They basically pretty much operates like two separate distortion pedals. Both sides of the pedal, actually both channels have got quite a lot of gain, but I guess I've set it up how I suspect most people would, with channel 1 less gainy, channel 2 more gainy.
And channel 2 is violin type, sustaining type stuff.
Yeah.
Great.
So Chappers is going to try and do some country licks now, just to see what happens. You know what? I can imagine that with a Telecaster sounding like
that's what
so
it needs.
much
It
snap,
needs
doesn't
Telecaster.
it?
Yeah.
But we've got this on the back pickup on the ML1, but single coil.
Yeah.
So coil tapped rather.
Here's the neck pop. I'll take it off.
So obviously, as I said before, the pedal has a channel 2, which I've set up to be a higher gain, sort of lead solo type boost. So yeah, we're going humbucker mode now. Here we go.
It's also silent. Yeah, it's absolutely silent. I mean, let's listen to the silence.
I mean, that is... Because we've listened to a few drive pedals in these videos, haven't you? And it's amazing how some make such a lot of background noise and some make so little.
This might be the quietest overdrive pedal we've heard.
Could be.
I think it is.
I'm wondering whether or not... I just want to hear this with a bit less drive, because I'm kind of wondering how often Brent Mason would be that much...
Really pleasant.
Very sweetly voiced everywhere around here, isn't it? So
great.
Cool. So that's the hot wired. The next one, the Pinnacle, is certainly for Andertons has been the best selling of all
it's the Pinnacle
Wampler.
of the Pinnacle Wampler overdrive pedals.
And there are two versions of the Pinnacle drive that have the same basic tone circuit. The one we've got plugged in down here is the Pinnacle Deluxe. The one in my hand is the regular Pinnacle. And the only difference between the two is there are two basic differences. I have a boost switch on the Pinnacle, the regular Pinnacle, that if I want to engage, I can only do via this dip switch. Whereas on the Pinnacle Deluxe, the boost switch is actually on another button, so it's got two buttons. And the other thing is that the Deluxe version has an internal output control that does allow you to sort of drive the output of the pedal a bit hotter. Although we haven't adjusted that on the stock one that we're playing around with.
Yeah.
Other than that, they've got the same knobs and buttons, same drive circuit, and there's not actually a big difference in price either.
According to Eddie Van Halen's Guitar Tech, this is the closest thing to the Brown sound. Whatever the Brown sound is.
I know, and Chappers and I were sort of, Brown sound is one of those iconic terms that everybody kind of knows that you're talking about Van Halen's kind of classic-driven Marshall.
It's a saturated
sort of tone.
overdrive tone, isn't it, really?
But we didn't know why it was called the Brown sound. So if you want to comment and tell us why, what that urban myth is.
Here's your reference tone. And again, it's silent.
Very quiet, isn't it?
Absolutely silent.
So it has a boost feature. I'm not entirely sure that when you get drive pedals with boost features, if you really gun the gain in the normal mode, the impact of the boost is going to be often minimal or even indiscernible, really, because physically you can't saturate the pedal anymore. But what you do here on these Wamplers is a kind of a bit of extra thickness coming through. So we'll get Chappers to sort of kick in the boost mode halfway through a solo, and hopefully you'll hear that on the demo.
Yeah, I'll bring in the volume of the guitar too and show you how it breaks down, because I was quite impressed. Quite impressed with that, because again, it's silent, so...
And And I know what we haven't shown them, of course. One of the other cool features is we're running this in what it's called a modern mode at the moment. Both the deluxe and the regular one have a modern and vintage switch. If I put it in vintage, you'll notice the pedal is a bit darker and slightly less saturated. If you were wondering what the switch was there, that was the vintage to modern switch.
Yeah.
And you can hear a lot more top end and get more gain on the modern sound.
This reminds me a lot of the Hellcat I used to have. It reminds me of the overdrive tones on the Hellcat. If you pushed the vintage side really hard, you got that kind of breakup, and the modern side was nice and sort of saturated and smooth. So stepping in the boost side of the pedal gives you that extra little tiny, like Joe Satriani says, when you just want a little bit more sustain, a little bit more sort of saturation, that's the button to step on. For example, I'll bring it in on this held note. And it's silent.
That's sick, isn't it?
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great sounding pedal.
So far,
yeah,
one of the best distortion pedals I've ever heard.
It's for higher gain.
It's way
I
up
would
there.
say, you know, I'm a big fan of some of the full tone pedals for the slightly lower gain stuff. But for a proper rock pedal,
it's right there, isn't it?
That is quality.
And we have yet to try the triple.
Yeah,
rec.
the triple rec, which is the I'm guessing triple rec is a sort of a sort of a gesture of acknowledgement rather of the sort of boogie triple rec. I've voiced this with a slightly more scooped tone. I mean, I've got 3-band EQ on here, so I can change it around and introduce more mid-range. But to sort of try and differentiate it from the Pinnacle, I've kind of gone for a slightly more modern, sort of scoopy type tone.
All those guys on YouTube that go, Chappers, I've got this much money to spend, I want to buy a pedal that sounds like metal, what pedal should I buy? This is the pedal that you buy if you want to sound like metal with a pedal. Here we go without. That's very amazing.
Quiet. Yeah, very quiet again. So one of the cool features on the triple rec is the boost button that you can kind of kick in for your sort of solo boosts. But it works with another dial called the Crunch Cream dial, and that's actually a blend control. So when you get this, don't be fooled into thinking that, you know, the more you turn it up, the more boost you get, or anything, which is kind of what we did.
It's the kind of boost, isn't it, rather than how much.
The more you back it down, the more it acts to add extra crunch. And so I probably work like a more typical boost sort of pedal. So it doesn't necessarily hugely alter the tone, it just gives you a little bit more oomph. The more you dial it to cream, the more it adds in all these very fuzzy kind of overtones. And
very fat, very thick sounding, yeah.
So you can use that for a rhythm or a lead
less
solo.
of a boost and more of a tonal variant,
Yeah.
I think. That's the way of putting it.
That's a bit over the top there, wasn't it? A lot
over the top. It's never enough.
So yeah, they're also quiet. I keep sort of you don't even realise they're.
You forget they're on unless there's a light shining in your face.
So there you go. So that was our kind of like little quick guide through a few of the Wampler pedals that we've got. What I'm going to do is every time I come and see Chappers for the next 2 or 3 months is maybe bring 3 or 4 more Wampler pedals with me so that we can go through the whole range. Of course, you guys are really, really welcome to come to Andertons anytime you like and come in the store and try any of these yourself. As I said, we keep the whole range there.
So I'm starting with the Black 65 and I'm just going to go randomly through these pedals as my foot takes me on a voyage of discovery. Can you believe that that's still pretty much quiet?
I must admit,
that's unbelievable.
That's 2 high gain distortion
pedals.
That's
unreal. I found this really cool Siamese Dream tone using the triple rec. Sounds like that.